He had built 3 companies, owned 2 houses, and had not once in 6 years heard his daughter laugh out loud. "Come in quietly, friend. What happens next is not what he expected, and it may not be what you expect either. Our protagonist is Beckett, 38. A self-made millionaire who grew up with very little, cracked linoleum floors, a mother who worked double shifts, hand-me-down shoes 2 sizes too big. He built his wealth the hard way, brick by brick, sacrifice by sacrifice. He carries that hunger still, even now, in his tailored suits and his worn leather briefcase and his big, quiet house on the edge of town. But wealth has a shadow, and Beckett lives in it. His daughter, Rosalie, is 10 years old and uses a wheelchair after a car accident 4 years ago, the same accident that took her mother. Beckett has never fully forgiven himself for being away on business that evening. He loves Rosalie with everything he has. But his love comes out stiff and careful and wrapped too tightly, like a gift nobody dares to open. He buys her things. He checks on her. He does not dance with her. He does not know how to simply be with her anymore. And that quiet, widening space between a father and his child, that is the truest wound in this story. To manage the house while he travels, Beckett employs a housekeeper, Corinthia, 54. A warm, unhurried woman with strong hands and a soft voice who has kept this house breathing for 3 years. She comes with her son, Stellan, 19, who helps with yard work and small repairs between his community college classes. Stellan is gentle, deliberate, the kind of young man who still says yes, ma'am, without thinking, not out of performance, but out of genuine tenderness. He carries his own quiet weight. Student loans, a deferred dream of studying music, a father who left when he was 7. But he meets each morning with a kind of soft, undefeated grace that older people recognize immediately and quietly admire. On the hallway table of the big house sits a framed photograph. Rosalie and her mother, laughing on a porch swing, golden summer light tangled in their hair. Stellan has passed that photograph 100 times during his work. He always slows his step when he does. Beckett is in Charlotte, a 2-day acquisition meeting, the kind that fills calendars and empties kitchens. He calls to check on Rosalie each evening. The conversations are short, polite, careful, like 2 people trying not to say the wrong thing. Back home on a gray and rainy Thursday afternoon, Corinthia is in the kitchen. A slow pot of chicken and rice is on the stove, the kind that fills a house with warmth from the inside out, the kind that smells like somebody's grandmother. Rosalie is in the living room, alone, her wheelchair parked near the tall window. She is watching the rain trace slow lines down the glass. There is an old vinyl record on the turntable, something Corinthia put on earlier, a soft and lilting melody, the kind of song that has no sharp edges. Stellan finishes raking the wet, leaves from the back steps. He comes inside, drying his hands on a cloth. He hears the music. He hears Rosalie humming along, barely above a whisper. He stops in the doorway. He watches her for a moment. This small girl, humming to a song older than both of them, her fingers moving slightly in her lap as if she is dancing in the only way she currently knows how. He does not rush. He does not perform. He simply crosses the room, slowly, and stands beside her wheelchair. He extends his hand, open, easy, unhurried, and says quietly, "May I have this dance, Miss Rosalie?" She looks up at him. She blinks. And then, for the first time in longer than she can remember, she smiles with her whole face. Corinthia hears it from the kitchen. She leans against the counter and closes her eyes for just a moment. Stellan takes Rosalie's hands in his. He moves slowly, gently, swaying, guiding her arms in soft arcs to the rhythm of the music. He hums along with her. She starts to giggle, A real giggle, bright and sudden, like a window being opened in a room that has been closed too long. He spins her chair in one slow, careful turn. She throws her head back. She laughs out loud. The front door opens. Beckett's. Flight came in early. The meeting wrapped ahead of schedule. He loosened his tie somewhere over Virginia and thought, for the first time in months, that he simply wanted to go home. He steps into the foyer, sets his briefcase down. The house smells of chicken and rice and something warmer underneath. Something he cannot name right away. And then he hears it. Laughter. His daughter's laughter. Rolling down the hallway like a bell. Like something holy. Like something he had convinced himself he might never hear again in quite that way. He follows it. He stops in the living room doorway. He sees Stellan, this young man in work clothes. Rain still damp on his collar, holding Rosalie's hands with such gentle care, swaying with her to the old music, both of them laughing now, both of them entirely lost in the small and perfect world of that moment. Beckett does not move. He cannot move. His briefcase is still in the foyer. His coat is still on his shoulders. But something else, something heavier, something he has carried for 4 years without ever setting down, begins, very quietly, to loosen. His jaw tightens, not in anger, in the way a man's jaw tightens when he is trying very hard not to. Cry in a hallway. Rosalie turns her head and sees him. Her eyes go wide, and then she reaches out one hand toward him, still smiling, still breathless from laughing, and she says simply, "Daddy, come dance." Beckett Calloway, who built 3 companies from nothing, who has negotiated in boardrooms and never flinched, takes one long, slow breath, walks into the room, kneels beside his daughter's wheelchair, and takes her hand. Stellan steps back, quietly, giving them their space. He catches his mother's eye from the kitchen doorway. Corinthia simply nods once, the way mothers do when something they have been quietly praying for finally arrives. The chicken and rice is served at the big dining table that evening, all 4 of them together, in a house that finally sounds like a home. Beckett asks Stellan about his music studies. He listens, really listens, the way a man does when something inside him has been rearranged. In the days that follow, things shift, slowly, the way seasons do. Beckett begins coming home earlier. He sits with Rosalie in the evenings, near that tall window. He starts to learn, awkwardly and humbly, how to simply be present with her, not as a provider, but as a father. He puts the old vinyl records on himself now, sometimes, and sometimes Rosalie reaches for his hands. He speaks with Corinthia one morning, over coffee, and thanks her, not for the housekeeping, but for raising the kind of son who knew how to see a lonely child and simply quietly choose kindness. Corinthia wraps both hands around her mug and says, "Stellan just does what feels right. I can't take much credit for that." Beckett looks at the photograph on the hallway table, Rosalie and her mother laughing on the porch swing. And for the first time, he does not look away quickly. He lets himself stand there. He lets himself remember. And it hurts, yes, but it is the kind of hurt that is, underneath everything, made entirely of love. Sometimes the walls we build to protect the people we love are the very walls that keep us from reaching them. It does not take wealth, or status, or the perfect words. Sometimes all it takes is one unhurried young man, and an old song on a rainy afternoon, and a hand extended in genuine kindness. We forget in our busyness that the people waiting for us at home are not waiting for our success. They are waiting for us, just us, present and imperfect and here. Rosalie did not need a better wheelchair or a bigger house or another gift left quietly outside her door. She needed her father to come into the room and stay. And sometimes it takes a stranger's kindness to remind us of the love that was always already ours to give.